Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mike in the Asylum with your hosts, Sydney Cisneros,
Jesse Neto,
Liam Grant,
Ron Van Buskirk.
Join us tonight as we talk about some of our favorite horror movies. Oh boy, tonight we're join us tonight while we talk about the horror movies. Tonight we are discussing a movie that exists called Muckman. This movie was suggested by Liam last week.
And we'll never forgive him for it.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pass it off. Or I guess right now we should give our fucking...
Yeah.
Liam, give your impression.
Especially since it's your movie.
You start.
I want you guys to
No.
first.
Jesse
don't
and
wanna
I are the
tarnish it.
explosive finales.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You go first.
Okay, well, I had a delightful time with this movie. It was so fun watching this, and I was like, you know what? I bet this would be fun. Just watching it with friends, having a blast.
I didn't have any
picking on-
friends. I was drinking. I was in the basement alone drinking while I was watching this movie.
Well, see, that was your problem to begin with.
I was
Sydney.
sick in bed.
See, that's your other problem.
Oh, yeah,
Why
that's
did you
why I
watch
hated
this
it.
when you were sick in bed.
That was the issue.
Yeah, that
Yes,
was
that
the
was
issue. All right, I'll pass
Ron,
it on to Ron.
You go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This movie should not exist. If you want a better movie of this kind, just watch Swamp Thing.
Oh god, that was great.
This is it was a hard watch. Of course I watched it because of this podcast, but
Hey, Rod, you're welcome.
yeah. And the worst part about it is like no one dies in it. Sorry, spoilers, but yeah, no one dies in this damn
Not
fucking
a
movie.
single
It's a
person
monster movie with no deaths.
The one time I want everyone to suffer a painful, agonizing death.
Yeah,
They're all
and
fine.
No, you got Scooby Doo. Deal with it.
so, but yeah, and there are no boobs either. Like they tantalize you on the front saying
Fake you out.
hot girl wrestling.
It says
bikini,
see beautiful bikini babes brawl,
and
you get that.
And not a single one of those
Yeah.
words is true.
yeah, and then even the second one, it says what was the second one? It says
see
right there?
unspeakable violence and gore.
All right.
It's all
Yeah, lies. Okay,
right.
now
Yeah.
we're going to Sid because he's going to love this movie.
Man, fuck this movie. Fuck this movie. Fuck this movie hard, man. Liam, thank you for reminding me why I actually hate horror movies.
You're absolutely right. Welcome,
That's
man.
not
That's not
fair.
horror. That's not. You cannot put this on the horror genre. It's in the crap pile.
Big fat waste of time. I could have taken a nap before coming down here.
Then you wouldn't know what you're talking about.
I would have been more enjoyable to be on this podcast. That's not true. I'm absolutely delightful right fucking now. Let's pass it on to Jesse. I have nothing else to say.
I hated everything about this. It wasn't
And
fun.
I hate all of you.
I do. Like, with at least a lot of movies, it can be so bad it's good, but this was just miserable every
just
single
bad.
second of screen time. I as a film student, I and people in my class have made better shit than this in an afternoon. I'm going to feel really bad if I ever meet any of these people who made this movie in real life, but fuck them.
Just spit in their mouth. What they deserve.
Oh shit! Shit, we drew that line.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
true!
You guys are like, man, it's so,
Dude, they
it's
spent-
so nice seeing
They
you
spent
guys,
about $500 on this damn movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
We
then we
checked
got.
that. He's
wait.
not exaggerating.
No, we got to hear
No, it's not
Liam's.
exact-
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Liam. No, Liam gave us.
Oh
his
no,
take
he
first.
did. He did. That's
God
right.
damn it,
Yeah.
Rod.
Sorry.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Fucking hate
Because
this
you
movie.
start with the cherry on top, and then you go down to the cake.
To the shit pile.
Shit pile.
The angry, bitter shit.
The angry.
Like that's chocolate ice cream, right? No, it's
No,
just
it's
shit.
just
No.
shit. Just fucking. This is a big pile of Muckman. All right, so now that we got
Don't muck
that.
with the muck man.
Oh fuck, dude. Now that we got this out of the way, I'm gonna pass it back to Liam, and he's gonna give us the plot. It's gonna be really
What
short.
plot?
It's
Well,
gonna probably be a pretty short
There's a
episode.
plot.
I do have some notes
Damn
written
it.
down.
Damn it.
About like the. Yeah, you're right.
He liked it. Remember?
Okay. Yeah, I liked it. So,
I'm just going to stare intently at the snowball this entire podcast.
well, I
fine.
hope you have
Snowball.
fun with that.
I
Jeff.
will.
Focus on the snowball.
Dude, we're only 5 minutes into this podcast.
I
We gotta
know.
keep it going.
You gotta keep that ball rolling. Okay, so Muckman was made in 2009. The
God's mistake of a year.
God's mistake. The director was Brett Piper.
Damn
And-
you.
Yeah, The writers were Brett Piper and Mark Polonia. Mark Polonia actually owns the company that helped produce this, called Polonia Brothers Entertainment.
So we should just hate the director and the writer because he's the one who wrote this god awful shit. The other guy was just providing.
So
here's the thing: both of them actually made 2 different scripts. Like they both made. Yeah, I went to special features. I watched the commentary.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Yeah,
Thank you for the background on this.
I deep dived on this.
Hey, all power to you.
Jesse
Man.
studied
Could have
Muckman.
cured cancer.
The money you spent to this could have gone to breast cancer,
You
but
could've-
instead you spent it on Muckman.
All right, so like they both had 2 different drafts, and Brett Piper kind of pieced them together, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I glazed over it, and then I directed." So
Oh,
like,
thank God we didn't get the bad
okay,
version.
so Brett Piper, I want to bring up another thing.
Damn it!
I-
How many
I-
things are there about this guy?
There's so
Are you
much-
gonna tell me
Hold on.
that he like directed Citizen Kane or something? Like he ghost directed it?
I
Oh,
want
what are you
to
gonna
say, I want to say the Citizen Kane of these kinds of movies.
What are
What-
these
what
guys?
Are you ready to hear?
Are these his other works?
So, yes.
All right.
One of them
Pornos
is
with better
Arachnia, Drainiac, and my all-time favorite, Nymphoid Barbarian and Dinosaur Hell.
I fucking never heard of any of these
I'm
movies.
so glad I've never seen that, because usually I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that, and then I feel
But-
really bad about myself. But that didn't happen this time.
That didn't happen. You were happy. It was like, no, I didn't see it.
Yay!
Have you
All right.
seen Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, this guy watched it.
All right, but
Alright.
I swear, I'll start with the plot now.
All right.
That wasn't the plot.
That wasn't the plot.
Oh
man.
shit!
Yeah, hold on. Let me make some entrancing music while I go to the plot. All right. So it starts with an intro to a TV show called Creature Seekers with their host Mickey. I don't know his last name.
O'Hara.
Played
O'Hara.
Played-
I didn't even bother to write down last
Oh,
name.
Played-
Mickey,
played
you're so
by-
fine.
played
You're so
by-
fine, you blow my mind.
Hey, Mickey,
played by
go
Stone
away.
Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Now, he's covering a legend in Pennsylvania called the Muckman, and
Muckman.
interviews a bunch of people,
Yep.
kind of like
Bunch of hillbillies.
bootleg Blair Witch style. And he mentions the fact that they're alive.
Oh yeah.
And then
Fuck,
it
I guess
does,
that was something that happened.
yeah. And then they do like this weird cut as if like that was just a videotape that the crew was watching.
I will admit that was actually kind of an interesting cut when
Oh,
it kind of like that's seamless because it plays in like a TV aspect ratio. I don't know the numbers because I'm not a film student, but it's got,
4-1, I don't know.
it's playing in that aspect ratio that you always see TV shows played in movies and stuff like that. But then you get like the seamless transition out to the actual scene. That was actually decent.
That was.
It was fine.
And then the acting started.
And then people started talking.
And I was like, oh, it's going to turn into a porno any second, isn't it?
No,
But
we
also-
weren't that
With a
lucky.
budget like this?
Oh, God.
We weren't that lucky.
But the TV show had a co-host.
Oh yes. Well, I was gonna get to the co-host later
Okay.
on because
Okay.
like it does a cut to where Mickey is talking to his manager about trying to get his show back.
Oh yeah, that's
So it's like
Because there's accusations that he faked it.
But,
Yes.
but mainly it was the 2 people that wanted the show to keep going, right?
oh
You have to talk loud for
You're-
the
no,
camera.
well, I didn't.
I don't
The
know what you're
microphone's
talking
right here,
about,
Jack.
man.
Okay, I was just saying like Asia, the co-host of that video.
I was gonna
like,
bring her up later on.
Ron,
I
Ron,
think it's important
Ron.
for the beginning too.
Ron,
Yeah,
are you
it's like
are
you
you
don't know how
are
to
you
start.
questioning how much Liam knows about
Yeah,
Muckman?
that is
Are
true.
you going? I deep dived on this.
Did you, like, kickstart this? Is this, like, your, like,
Did
way
you-
to make people
Yeah.
Did
see
you
it or
make
something?
this?
The
He's
whole
probably
plot
he's
twist.
probably getting money.
I'm
for
getting paid by them.
Were you the Muckman?
Follow the money. Liam's being paid by.
All right, go ahead, man.
what's his
You
name?
go with your stuff, man.
Okay, so it's Mickey having an argument with the manager, saying, "Ooh, let's get the show," and it's like, "Ooh, you suck at your job, Mickey," and then it goes to a cut.
All right. This is also worth mentioning that this is the first and only time that this movie has actual real life audio editing.
Oh god.
because you can't. This is the only time you can actually hear what anyone's actually saying.
The audio is terrible. In
The
this.
sound mixing is so bad.
Was
Like,
it filmed? Oh, you go ahead.
The
Was
sound,
it?
the sound effects and the music are so often much louder than the voices.
And they're all stock.
Yep.
They're all stock, royalty free.
Like
but also,
the
was it
pan-
filmed? Was it? Well, so was the next one to say? Was it filmed on VHS? Because that sounded like one of those big, old-fashioned, like air-cooled.
Like,
yeah, that's what it sounded like. Some with a big fan running in it. Anyway, whatever. Go keep talking about it. I ran out of shit to say.
Oh,
So,
you'll find more.
I'll
Oh,
find
yes,
more.
so apparently, Creature Seekers was a popular show. Like 20 million people were watching the
Yeah.
Muckman
Oh, shit.
episode.
Yeah, well, they
I-
claimed it was hot.
Yeah, I wrote down the number they were talking about.
Yeah, good for you, man.
what
'cause I
a
forgot
fucking
that part.
wackadoo dimension is this movie take place
No,
in?
Liam, Jesse. Shit, Jesse. Have you seen what History Channel is now? And
Damn
what
it,
channel?
you're right.
Yeah, I'm right.
Oh,
This isn't far fetched. That's not the most far fetched.
I've seen this basic show, like Bigfoot Hunters or something.
Yes, no, it's existed for a while.
All right. So
All right.
Mickey's pitching the show again, and he brings up the co-host Asia Buchanan, when everyone loves Asia. Like apparently, everyone thinks she's super attractive.
She's the sex appeal for the show.
Yeah,
She's the
exactly.
talent,
The
quote
talent.
unquote.
Yeah. All right. And then it was like, then the manager says, "All right, if you show proof that the monster exists, we'll give you your show back."
Well,
Pay you
remember,
a shit
don't they
ton.
like look at? Oh wait, no, that happens later.
Yeah, that happens.
Jesse,
later.
calm down. We'll get through this.
Yo,
You gotta remember, Jesse was fast forwarding this part.
You're right.
No, I didn't start fast forwarding until 30 minutes in.
Yeah, that's true. That's not bad. This movie's an hour and a half long, by the way.
No,
Alright.
it's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's even
Yeah.
less, so he's fast forwarding
It
the good
feels
parts.
so long.
The great parts you missed, man.
All right, and then it cuts back to the videotape, and you find out and then Mickey's like, "Oh, what's that foul smell? Oh, it's the Muckman," and the some guy in an ape costume pops up, and he accidentally
Bumps
hits
his head on the tree or something.
Yeah, and then
All the
crew-
cameraman and aides.
Yeah,
Sorry.
This is where I knew I was in for a bad time, because this is where the movie starts trying to be funny.
Yeah,
this
this-
doesn't
it
work.
was trying to
So
be
up
funny.
until this point, it's kind of skirting the line between shit movie that's fun to watch and just shit movie. And the minute they start throwing the comedy in, you know what you're in for.
Because they start doing these little skits with the dude in the suit where he catches his suit on fire,
Trying
and
to
they're having
smoke a
pat him
joint or
out, and it's,
whatever.
you
Hitting
could hear
on one
Benny
of the-
Hill to it if you
Yeah.
try hard enough.
Yeah, you can see him trying to hit on one of the PAs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Them
It-
slapping him with his fake glove.
Yeah, and Mickey pops up saying, "What are you doing? We're live! Oh,
Turn
shut the
the
camera
camera
off!"
off.
And then Asia's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And you see a boom mic come in, hit her in the face. Anyway,
Speaking of that, there were several times in this movie where you could see the shadow of the crew on the actors. Continue.
Yeah. Were you saying this movie was incompetently made,
I
Jesse?
think I'm gonna cross that line.
What?
I'm just saying,
Oh, dude.
I'm having a delightful time.
I just remembered something else. It was
Oh God, there's more.
We'll get there.
no, I was gonna say I was looking on IMDb
Damn
and
it.
literally
Or facts.
No, the reviews are 7+ to the 10s. People
All right.
were
No,
saying this movie's
This-
I saw
is something.
4.8 as the score, and I was like, "What?"
This is something we brought up at least once per episode. But all movie reviews are bullshit.
yeah,
Our movie reviews are kind of bullshit.
well, I think it's art. It's the way we
What is
see it.
art, and can art be judged?
Yes, it can.
I like how
And
this is
that's
where
what-
Muckman has taken us. What is art? What is philosophy?
What is the nature of a man?
So the odds aren't good because we have 25%
Yes.
right here.
Yes.
That says it's art.
What are you talking about?
All right.
All right,
Go ahead.
so it goes to title card, and banjo music plays, and it goes in repeat.
For
I
a
wanna
really long credit
yeah,
scene.
awfully long.
Like Birdemic long as they just drive along. and the
Surprisingly
credits go.
long. Why are this many
How-
people's names on it?
Oh, I want to bring up one of the producers is actually one of the main characters in this movie.
I'm shocked.
That's
The
fair.
acting talent
One-
wouldn't have suggested that.
One of the writers is also in this movie too.
Nice.
If you can guess them,
No,
I
I'm
will
not.
be super proud.
I'm not going to play this
What was
game.
it?
You're not gonna play this
What
game?
was it?
Liam, fuck.
God damn it!
I'm
What?
tired, and I
What were you
watched
talking
Muckman.
Oh, one of the producers is important character in this movie.
None of the characters are.
It was
important,
Hobbs,
though.
wasn't it? Hobbs is one of them.
He was the producer.
All right.
Yeah,
God, of course
but
he
one
was.
of the writers is also in this movie too.
Was it Mickey?
Hmm?
Was it Mickey?
Who's Mickey?
I
I wasn't paying attention.
He's the main character.
Cameron,
You're the one who wrote
No,
down
the
the
I wrote
fucking
down. I
names.
wrote down
No,
nicknames
Mickey's-
because they're forgettable.
Mickey's
are
the
you-
stone cold looking guy.
Curly,
The goatee.
Curly, the AKA Grill Master who burns and blames the skillet.
Oh, not him.
Not him?
Damn, I forgot about
That
that.
man's fucking
Drew?
trash.
How about Drew, the other guy who doesn't say shit?
Is it Sam? Is it fucking Tomboy? Whatever the fuck her name is.
Horace
Ron's
and
nephew?
Elmer. Has to be a Horace
Do
and
you
Elmer.
remember how the
Son of a
That was
fuck
it.
you.
Fucking Horace and Elmer. That's
the
Horace.
guy whose belly isn't showing.
Oh.
Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Anyway,
Oh, we are-
Important,
this is all
spoilers for
spoilers.
important characters.
If you're listening to this podcast, you're spoiled.
If you're gonna watch Muckman, which you probably did if you followed our advice, then I'm sorry. But if you haven't watched it yet, just fucking don't.
just listen to the podcast.
Just listen
and
to the
enjoy us.
podcast and enjoy
Just
it.
listen to four guys be angry. Well, three guys be angry. One guy.
And one guy reveling in the.
I wonder
anger.
who's the real Mike in the asylum.
Damn. This does not deserve Cannibal Holocaust references. You son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
Truly, we are the Muckman.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. I am the muck.
All right, so where the fuck were we?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we
They
lost.
go out to the fucking
They go out.
woods.
Yeah, we're in the
they go
RV.
out to the woods. Asia's being a bitch.
Yeah, this is what your first review. That shocker, the TV lady's a fucking ice queen.
Yeah, and
I was gonna
that's
say something really.
And then
bad,
the other
but I
girl's
stopped
like, "Why are you
myself.
so stuck up?" And she's like, "Eh."
myself. I'm important.
Because I'm important.
And then we have
And
some
then-
dialogue with Tomboy, as Cindy called her. I don't know what else to call her.
Oh, Billy.
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 Okay, that works. And this is where I think the running joke starts of everybody like pretending she's not a girl for some reason. Like,
No,
I
oh,
don't
she's a
know why.
boy. Oh.
Ooh.
And I thought she was the hottest one out of them all.
Surprise, surprise! Ron liking the hot blonde. lady.
Yes. Well,
All right, and then
I
with
hated
that?
every
So
time
basic,
that joke
Ron.
came up of someone like, "Oh, this is for the ladies." Oh, what are you doing here?
oh,
Like,
what are you doing? Oh, hi there. And
It
so
was so dumb.
they go to Pennsylvania, and they meet this guy.
The Gothic state of Pennsylvania.
And then they meet their guy,
Hobbs.
who's
Guy.
Hobbs.
My
Cletus
dad.
Hobbs.
Cletus Hobbs.
Sydney's papa.
There's this thing that happens whenever I watch a movie and a goateed redneck shows up. They always look like my dad, and I think I should go to therapy about that.
You really should.
All right. Anyway.
Anyway.
so that they get out of the RV and there's bad slapstick.
Ugh.
That's the one thing I wanted to bring up for this entire movie. I mentioned the comedy earlier. Every time they try to do a joke, it's like watching aliens who have heard of the concept of humor and what jokes are. They just don't know how to do
They-
it right.
Are
they-
you talking about Neil Breen?
Yes.
It's
This-
a
this-
Okay, we need to do that. It's
We need to do
This,
a Neil Breen movie.
this movie had one of my favorite Confucius sayings, though.
We do.
It's like a man who farts in church sits in his own pew.
Damn it.
Well,
There, that was the best joke out of the whole movie. So now you hear it, you never have to watch it.
Yeah, podcast over.
Podcast over. Have a great night.
Anyway, fucking-
anyway, what I was trying
this
to
is
get at
this
was
is something that both Jesse and I agree on, and we can't stress enough.
the jokes. They go on too long. They're acted poorly. It's like there's some distant reality where all of these things could have been funny if they were done right.
Mm-hmm.
They're never done right. It almost feels like they're trying to do them wrong,
You-
and that makes
Yeah.
me angry.
I've
They're
said it
never
before.
funny.
I'll say it before, and I'll say it again. You can't make trash.
You can't.
Trash just happens.
And that's what I don't understand about this movie. I don't know if they were trying to
Oh, they
be
were.
cheesy
They
or
were.
if it just came off.
That's where all the
even more
humor came
cheesy.
from.
No, like they made.
It was-
So just think of the complaints I had with Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and just amplify it to 1,000.
They,
and
they
that's
would have
kind of
been
what
winking
Muckman
at the
is.
camera if they
Yeah.
could have.
Yeah.
I think they did. No, I'm
No,
just joking.
Muckman did.
Damn it, Muckman.
You just didn't see it because he doesn't have pupils.
Or
Anywho.
eyes.
Or eyes.
Anyway.
All right. Now, where were we? Okay, So
They go to the cabin.
So
go to the
Hobbs
cabin.
is like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to walk to the cabin, and Asia's like, ooh, walking, and then they ended up interviewing Hobbs on the spot. And
He's all like, oh, those tales of the Muckman.
The
in these
Muckman.
woods.
oh yeah, and
I saw him.
when he was a
So,
kid.
you know how last week we were talking about how we want a show of like these documentary found footage people going around all these things?
I
This is
changed
what
my
we
mind.
got.
I changed my
I
mind.
didn't even think about
It
that.
wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it.
Cancel the show. Troll Hunters 2, cancel it.
I'd rather have nothing.
This is what happens when you play with God.
We flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, now you just.
So what were you guys were talking about? Was
I don't even
Hobbs?
remember.
So Hobbs talks about the encounter that he had as a child, where he took a baseball bat to Muckman and broke the bat and ran away.
What?
No,
Is that what happened?
an axe.
I thought he
It
was
was a
working
bat.
as a
Oh.
logger, and then like the
Maybe
Buckman
it
broke
was-
his axe, and
maybe
he
it
got
was-
really
okay.
mad.
Yeah, and he
Okay, see,
and he said,
I missed that
"Oh,
part.
pissed me right off. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear."
I didn't
You
mean
know
to
what the
swear.
sad thing is? We're making this movie sound more interesting than it is
It's
by
not.
talking
Don't-
about
But
it.
we're
Don't
gonna
watch
have
it.
we're a podcast.
I know.
discussing
I'm
it.
just.
I know.
It's just
Jesse,
an observation.
Jesse, I'm getting paid by Polonium Brothers Entertainment.
The show reveals himself.
Just kidding, they're not paying me. Don't
Yeah.
worry about
Hashtag pay us.
I pay us. Sponsor us, Loot Crate.
that.
Sponsor us.
Do you think any other podcast has done this movie?
No,
Probably not.
Woo!
So we're breaking new ground here.
Yeah.
But that's a positive.
yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it, but it's a positive.
You know what's really sad?
See,
Someone's going to
I'm-
Google Muckman podcast, come to
And
ours,
we're
and we're just
gonna
going
be
to be
old
bashing
and
the
wise.
shit out of it.
Well, then
And they're like, oh,
we have
shit.
one defender.
they have one defender,
One
Oh, yeah.
defender.
one lone defender.
So they get to the fucking cabin.
They get to the
Yeah,
fucking
they
cabin.
get, to, they get to the cabin. It's small. Asia's still being a bitch.
That's
and
Did it look a lot bigger than
On the, yeah.
Yeah, it was
for
probably
it
really
because
did.
they only said
No.
there's
I
only
thought-
one bedroom
Well,
upstairs.
Well, no,
they
because
said.
the outside of the cabin was definitely bigger than the
Yeah,
inside.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going.
Yeah,
the
no,
opposite.
because well, I'll tell you at the end of the
This
movie.
is when they have the joke about like ladies up here, and then they look at Billy and go, "Oh, hey, you could bring up the stuff," and it's like, "Why? She's pretty." I don't get it.
That's maybe it's the jokes because she's the most attractive one, but at the same time, I don't care.
I think exactly.
Oh, you also forgot they walked past something important.
Oh no!
Suicide Bridge.
Dear
Oh
God.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
big scary bridge
It's a
that people
big
fall
10
off.
foot drop.
But I'm not gonna. But see, honestly, I didn't even know the bridge until it became a part of the movie. Like that's how much of a glazer it was.
so there's
Countless
this
hundreds have died at this bridge
yeah.
for some reason.
in this town of 200 people.
In this
Exactly.
river that's like 2 inches deep.
Yeah, in the bridge that's like 5 feet off the ground. So I had a point, but I don't think I remember. I don't even think it
Yeah.
really
Then they
mattered.
get to
That's
Get
what
to
the
the
power of
cabin.
Muckman does to you, Sydney.
So we have one bathroom in this cabin and one bedroom, and guess who takes the bedroom?
fucking Asia.
I
Fucking
want to
Asia.
guess. I don't know.
That
That fucking.
bitch
We would say the C word, but
for a family podcast.
we're a family podcast, so fuck that.
Is
It's
this
a
when the
fucking movie.
skillet joke starts?
Yes.
Yes,
I was
exactly.
dying.
I was laughing.
And I
really
don't
hard
mean
at that.
dying.
Dude is
Anyway.
burning the food
Yes.
and
Flopping
yelling
it out of the
he's
skillet.
yelling at the pan.
Doesn't
Yeah,
know how to use a skillet, I guess.
Hearing him scream, "The pan is broken," is like I felt my brain cells
That-
dying.
that is just
that
the
was-
pinnacle of comedy.
Honestly, if
Yes.
I could ever have turned off a movie, that would have been
we
the
might
pinnacle.
as well just destroy all of Rodney Dangerfield's recordings because they'll never be as good as what happened in this movie.
I've heard a deadpan.
Fuck you, Fuck you, Ron. You're fired.
Okay, I'm glad we're gonna take a hard stance against the puns. I didn't want it to just be me who got
Thank
the
you.
fuck you.
No,
But-
no, everyone. I'll make puns too. I
So-
want you to
I
tell
love
me
puns.
fuck me.
Okay, so then they're cooking the thing, and
Cooking
one
the
of the
thing.
girls is like, "Hey, you need to put some oil in there or
Put
some shit." And he's like, "Okay." And he looks in the cupboard and he gets some charcoal oil,
Lighter
Yeah,
fluid.
Lighter fluid.
and he's
Hey.
like, "Dirt, I'ma use this." Burn. Wah wah wah.
You don't even get a satisfying shot of
You
the
just
fire
hear-
starting.
Yeah, they panned. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, like you don't even get a satisfying shot of fire starting and all
He
that.
doesn't even get his face blown off.
No,
How fun is
no,
that?
and they don't even bring it up.
Okay.
Really.
No.
I want to point this out. They were playing they had a radio on and it was playing rock music. But the thing is, that's the same rock music I used in high school for video production. For football live streams.
You're not helping your case that you were involved with this movie.
I put a smile on my face because I'm like, ha!
Well, I'm glad somebody smiled.
Yeah. It was
Stock
really,
music radio, free
stock-
music all day, all the time.
Welcome to Stock Music Radio.
Anyway, it's fuck.
So then the next morning...
No, because when they're also talking, they're trying to get accommodated into this cabin, like trying to Pauline was trying to set up a divider, so she got some privacy that was falling apart, and so they're having a shit time, and then they're like, oh, I bet Billy, who's in the camper, is having an even more shittier time.
No, this is actually something about this is actually something about the movie that's kind of fascinating. Is one thing I'll always complain about in horror movies is they don't do a good enough job building characters. And not all the time.
Where are you going with this?
But okay, no, just hear me out. This is kind of fascinating because me personally, I prefer characters over stories. I think a good character is more important than a good story. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
This is the first movie I've ever seen where the more they tried to build the characters, the less I care about them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fascinating in a weird way. Every time they talk and open their mouths, I would hate them more and more. And not the good kind of hate that you have for like a good villain or something. It's just, I've never had this happen before.
It's like the worst type of slasher movie where you're just like, every time the characters talk, it's just like ear grating on your fucking brain.
But see,
the bad sound mixing doesn't help either. You go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, like, I agree with you on that, but I don't know. I know it's because it was supposed to be this way, but I feel like Billy was like, like a likable character because she was the one with brains, but she was yet like they didn't like look at her as the brainy person. Like she's just a PA. She's a nobody, but she's the one who's.
But that's a kind of a tired stereotype and joke in these kind of movies.
And so that's where I'm like, part of me wants to say she's likable, but yet
I still don't care.
Don't care, yeah. It's like, who cares, you know?
If every character had died, I would have felt nothing.
Yeah,
I would have felt better about the movie.
Actually, yes. I would probably give it a better rating if everyone died in this damn movie.
Nobody dies.
No one dies.
Not even the fucking bad guys.
No. I know, that's what I'm saying. Kill the bad guys. They're expendable, at least.
It was so funny, man.
Gosh.
So good.
All right, so what's next?
Oh, I don't even... Okay, yeah. So, like...
Okay, go ahead.
Fire starts, oven breaks,
They wake
morning
up in the
comes,
morning feeling
and
like
Hobbs,
P. Diddy.
and Hobbs brings in the cousins.
So do we not want to bring up the fact that Billy's doing okay in the camper?
Yeah, Billy's
doing okay in the camper.
Yeah, well, because that's true. Like that was the whole thing. Was like they were thinking
it was another joke that wasn't funny.
It was another joke where it's like, wow, in some distant, far-flung fantasy land, that could have been a funny joke. They botch it though.
Well, no, I just thought like you just wanted to say like how stupid this crew is. Like they're thinking we have it made over here where it's not great. It's like they have one bedroom where Asia's taking it. They have one bathroom. They have a pan that apparently burns food.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The characters are stupid.
Yes. So, and then you got Billy who's having a nice little cup of tea, and her jazz is playing. And was that the jazz that you were playing too in high school too?
What?
We're just trying to find out if you're part of this movie.
If I'm part of this movie?
No, okay.
Just
involved.
All right, so
He's gonna go into his room and find a shrine to Muckman.
Yeah,
like a poster.
So let's talk about Horace and Elmer, the cousins that come in with Haas.
Yeah.
The minute. Okay, so up until this point in the movie, I was bored, but you watch movies that are great, like Samurai Cop and Birdemic, and the first little while the movie is kind of dull. And then it builds up from there. The minute these two characters walked in, I knew it was dead for me.
They're every redneck stereotype you've ever seen in a movie, 1,000 times worse.
They're the comedic relief characters that have the opposite effect.
And it was
They're
terrible.
comedic relief in a sea of comedic relief.
Yeah, that too.
It's like and I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like their attire, they wanted them to look very rednecky, like with the flannels and stuff.
But everyone dressed the same.
Yeah, they dressed the same, and it also looked like just bought these flannels.
But
They
they-
look like costumes.
No,
Like,
but no,
yeah.
they were even wearing the same outfit
Yeah.
as Billy.
Yeah, Billy
was
showed up in
wearing-
flannel. Yep.
because they were both wearing flannel with
Exact-
the vest or overall.
I'm
or
glad you
something.
saw
shopping at
that.
the
I
same
thought I was the only one who
Spencer's.
saw that. So yeah, that
They literally just pulled the clothes out of the closet, and
or
they
went
pulled
to-
them all out of the
They
same
went down to the
person's
same
closet.
freaking like Walgreens and bought.
When I
All
first
the
saw
flannels.
when I first saw these characters enter, I was like, "Oh man, Sydney's gonna hate this."
He was fucking right. Good fucking job.
Everyone would hate this. It wasn't. They're not funny. They're
No,
nothing.
they-
They're like,
No, they're insanely not funny.
Oh my god.
There's black holes of dread.
They're
Like-
anti-comedy.
like his belly button.
Okay.
Anyway,
You know that was the real horror. Of the
For
movie, was,
explanation, the one of the brothers is like his shirt's over.
oh,
his
surprise, surprise!
stomach the
He's got a
entire
pot
time.
belly,
Yeah.
like rednecks have.
And he's always like twisting at it and like looking as rapey as possible.
Oh, and then of
Yeah,
course
I
we
was-
see
I was thinking-
we see the aftermath of the fire too, and there's nothing burnt. It's just like they put soot down, like just because
I
they're
didn't
like, we
even
gotta
know-
clean this shit.
There
I
was
didn't even
some
notice
holes
that.
on
Yeah.
the blanket.
Yeah, but I thought that
And
was
that
already
was-
there.
I think
thought
that was
already
there.
there.
That was there.
No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
It
the
was
muck,
same-
the
same-
muck man has
Same-
spoken.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
He was
same-
probably
it
the
was-
prop guy. He knows.
They were like, "Oh, hey, can you put fire damage?" And I'm like, "Okay," and I just made a hole with the scissors.
Anyway, what happened
And-
next?
Okay, so they take them to the Muckman Museum.
Oh,
Some
a
shack
great.
they have out
yeah,
in the woods.
Exactly, a shack, not a barn. A shack.
Built it with my own two hands.
Yeah, they even do that joke.
It would have been funnier if it was like up and like fancy and shit. Like, oh, these two rednecks built like this fucking
They built like
palace.
a palace dedicated to
I would-
Muckman.
I would actually really
See,
like
so
see-
predictable.
See,
is
Jesse,
badness.
what you're talking about is called what's it called? Fuck, I'm bad with big words.
Absurd
Subversion. Shit.
Subversion of expectations.
That one. But
So-
that's high comedy.
I know.
So
Actually, no. It's like
It's the
mid
most
comedy.
basic comedy. But no one gets it apparently.
So Liam, what is in
Yes.
this great museum? There's like two great artifacts that they have
oh,
that we
there-
have to see.
Okay, so there is a cardboard cutout. No, my bad. There's a piece of cardboard with some fur on it, and it's called Bonafide Muckman hide.
Bonfide.
And then, like,
It's
everyone's...
not exaggerating. It's how it's spelled. Bonfide.
Yeah,
Bonafide.
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 Muckman hide.
Bonfide.
And then there is also a skull in a jar with some pointy teeth poking out in all the weird places.
Apparently, all of this was like caught and found or killed or whatever.
Hashtag
that
I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
found.
believe.
I want to.
Hashtag I want to believe. Yeah, it's pretty much the...
And you notice that they always had answers for stuff. Like they'll be like, "Where's the rest of his bodies?" Well, their tribe probably took it away. Like they have answers for
Animal did.
everything.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, man. You're making them sound like...
It's like it's hard to find one fucking Muckman, but you're saying that there's a tribe out here. All right, let's keep it going.
I'm sorry. Did you just call them Ewoks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
wasn't
the thing
listening.
that
Dude, that's
That's-
insulting
Hey.
to Ewoks.
Hey.
What are you talking?
They're as good as Ewoks are.
No.
I take offense to this. I love
I do
Ewoks.
too. Me too.
Jesse, that's a podcast we'll have eventually.
Okay.
It's just us being mad at each other about Star Wars.
Okay, let me tell you though, real fast.
We'll get to
Complete
that.
tangent. They made like a zombie mode with Ewoks in Battlefront 2. Where
Yeah, I
you're
know.
like I think
That's actually
funny.
great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Like you're being hunted by fucking Ewoks in the middle of the night. It's awesome.
Anyway, that's a podcast Jesse and I will have at a later date.
Okay.
Just us arguing each other
I'm
about.
kidding. I don't like the Ewoks.
It's fine.
Okay,
Oh,
Muckman.
I think you're lying, but that's fine. There,
You
and that's
wanna-
out there for all the world to see.
You want to
You
know
know.
something weird?
What?
Muckman would definitely be a Star Wars character.
No,
You know, no. Actually, he kind of looks like the early concept art of Chewbacca.
Yeah,
I'm not
they
even
say-
kidding.
I'm sure you see
they
something
probably
just like
stole
him in
the
Monster.
early artwork.
Yeah, like they were like, "Oh, we got it. We don't have to get sued."
Liam was looking through the Star Wars artwork and was like, "Hey guys, I got an idea."
Yes.
I got an
For this
idea.
movie we're making. Jesse, Liam, how old were you in 2009? Yeah, this is gonna happen for the rest of the night.
2009, I was be like, 11?
Were you even
We're
alive?
beating this dead horse.
I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, no, that he was totally in it. He totally was part of it.
He was
No,
so-
I was 10,
Yeah, he's totally
I
part of
think.
it.
Yeah, I was.
He's totally the prop guy.
I was totally prop guy.
Anyway.
What happens after they leave the museum?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
one of them steps up to piss or something.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah,
the
and then
guy,
they
the guy
see-
was camera shy, so
Oh,
he
that's
runs
right.
out, and then they start to hear a noise. So they all, it's kind of sounding like that. So they all ran out, and they're like, "Oh, it's the Muckman!" And they chase it, and only get like a glimpse of footage, and you know, everyone's like, "Oh, darn!"
And this is where Asia gets the phone call. But she tries to play it off at first, like, who the hell is having their phone ring right now?
Who's being so unprofessional?
And then, it's me, guys. And then she wanders away to have a private conversation.
I'm sorry, and then she has a conversation with someone.
What could it possibly mean?
And then she comes back, and she's like, oh, sorry, I usually keep my phone off during recording. I guess I forgot this time.
Yes, you forgot. Okay.
Can you say
There's
foreshadowing?
Yeah, I was about to say. Can you say foreshadowing?
This doesn't deserve foreshadowing.
No, it's the most on-the-nose thing on the planet.
It's a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that a real thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not that.
I'm not using it right.
I didn't go to college like you guys
Okay.
did.
Next, we find
Trek
Billy
thing.
finds the eggs by the river.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
She finds the water balloons in the river.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say water.
And then the redneck throws one at her for some reason.
Yep.
I thought that was really out of
And then
nowhere.
she pulls the Neo by like turning around and catching it.
Oh, she's
midair.
so cool, you guys.
Yeah.
So cool.
And she goes like, "Oh, you didn't brain damage that fish egg."
What?
What?
Fuck.
Did I miss that?
I don't understand.
No,
it.
no,
It's fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, babe.
So night comes,
Night comes.
and it says Billy decided to take the egg, put it in like
The
I don't
sink.
know, the saucepan or something. I don't
Is this where it hatches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only important thing that happens.
It's a
in the
little
scene.
green gloop
The
thing.
scene
with
goes on
tentacles.
for way too long.
Yeah.
Basically, the egg hatches, and
And-
Billy is too stupid to realize. So she's played off. It's okay. So fuck it. I'm gonna go into it.
Do it!
She's constantly played off as being the only smart character, but then she finds this weird egg that no one knows what it is, and she can't find. She's feverishly looking on the internet on her Gateway laptop, and sorry, that joke was only for me. But
that joke was only for you.
She's feverishly looking up. She can't find anything. No one knows anything that's going on, and she puts the egg in the sink, and then it hatches, and she wakes up and she finds it. Goes back to bed. What the fuck? The fuck?
And the
Fucking
egg
pissed me off.
The egg looked like Crisco or like some like nasty like.
And it was a whole bunch.
congealed-
Basically, a whole bunch of fishing lures melted together.
I thought that's
crawls
what it
out.
was. That's exactly like they even had like the rivet or like dimples at the.
Yep.
You forgot a thing.
What the fuck did I forget? Leo?
the
The
Muckman was
Muckman's
moving around the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Camper.
Yeah,
It
and
was
then-
scratching
and then-
it like Freddy Krueger.
And then toilet gets broken. Stupid stuff with the cameraman happens. So like they're trying to fix that.
Does anything even matter at this point?
I think we can
Yes.
comfortably skip that.
Okay, yeah.
Just
and
skip
and then,
right
like,
to them at the cabin, and they hear a noise outside.
yes. And
They all
it's, like,
run out.
noise, see footprints, and then like they don't get spooked. Asia picks up the camera, saying, "Oh, hey, that was all totally real," while Billy was just recording
On her own personal
on
camcorder.
her own personal camcorder. So like Asia's just deciding to be a bitch about it.
Mhm.
Slaps Billy. Billy punches her, and then like Asia's like, "Oh, you're fired," but Billy's like, "You can't fire me. I'm the one who drives the RV to get here."
Got him.
Yep,
Got
him.
Get him!
This is the first time. Yep. And then the camera.
They have a line about this, like, "Oh, well, can you drive the RV?" No.
No.
Like later on.
No, well, that happened. No, that happens at the beginning when
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
Are we-
are we
when
at the
he's
fighting
like,
part?
"Can you drive the RV?" And then the guy's like, "No, I can't drive it."
Uh,
And then she goes, "What kind of man are you?" And then she walks up front, and surprise, surprise, it's a woman driving. Because women
God,
can't
I
drive.
forgot about
Yeah,
that.
fuck Jesse. Oh, fuck. I'm tired.
So, what happens next?
Okay, so the camera crew decides to light a one marijuana stick.
That
and-
again leads to nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I called it a Scooby Dooby Don't.
Nothing in
On
this
my-
movie matters.
Yeah.
The
Really-
redneck comes in and
really-
he's all like, "Are you smoking the Mary Jane?" And they're
No,
like, "Yeah."
no, they didn't call it Mary Jane. They called it Gibbery.
Oh, God,
Gibberweed.
you're right.
Gibberweed.
Yeah.
Man,
I
fuck
knew
this.
I smelled that.
All right. I know that, like, I'm technically from the South, but I've never really lived there. But I know they don't call it jitterweed.
Of course they don't.
Oh, granted, this isn't the South. This is weird redneck
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Weird. I'll admit that's... fuck it, I don't care. Really, this whole movie is one brilliant metaphor for the existential crisis and how nothing really matters.
Now the egg hatches.
Now the...
around.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so since we already talked about it, moving on.
Moving on.
All right.
Now,
So are we going to? Oh, is it that Billy went to collect more eggs, and then Pauline gets jealous because the guys are checking out Billy?
Oh,
See
yeah,
how
because
hot
she's wearing,
Billy?
she's
Yes.
wearing her bikini.
Why is
Okay,
Pauline
so-
here?
I love how they're like, "Who's that
She's
girl?"
literally
Like,
there for
who
the
else
scene we're
was
about to
there
talk
with
about.
you guys?
okay, so like it starts off with Mickey, the guy you may have forgotten at the beginning of this movie. I know I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, having a call with everyone,
Oh,
yelling
yeah.
at them like, "Oh, why haven't you found the monster yet?" and stuff like that. Then Billy pops up in her swimsuit, looking at the eggs. The camera crew gets distracted by
As
like,
did Ron.
as did Ron, as did Pauline, and you know, they,
Early 2009 lesbian joke happens at this point, too.
yes.
That
And-
weird
and-
period in the early 2000s where no one really knew how to talk about it and the jokes didn't make any sense.
Remember-
The joke was that they were gay.
Remember when no one was comfortable with their sexuality in 2009?
Man, the
Pepper
early,
Ranch Farms remembers.
the early
Oh my
2000s
God.
were a mistake.
So-
Anyway,
So, do we just talk about the wrestling of the women?
Yes, so Pauline gets jealous, so she pops out of nowhere in her swimsuit.
Yeah.
she's supposed to be
We
giving-
have to have swimsuits because the box told us on the
The
front.
box told me
The
to.
box told us. We only get
Exactly.
one of the three stuff correctly, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be the box.
And of course, Billy's like, "I'll fucking kick your ass," and then
Yeah.
and then ironically, she gets her ass kicked.
Mhm.
But then
She cheats like a
Oh,
motherfucker.
but the audio is done so poorly that like the scream is like one of the most hilarious things I've heard. In this
see, I didn't even pay attention. Guess
I
what?
didn't either.
Not going
It,
back.
it sounded like a screeching noise.
Okay,
Oh, it was so fun.
and then the pervert two guys, the cameras, you know, they're filming this.
You don't even know their names.
It's Drew and
Tweedlefuck and Tweedledee.
hold on, it's Drew and Curly.
Oh,
How did
cool.
you get 4 pages of notes out of this?
I got 6 or so.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Or 7. Okay.
Oh.
But, okay. And then okay, so yeah, they're wrestling, doing all that stuff, and then Curly and whatever his dipshit's name, they make a great joke and they say, "I need a smoke." Evidently, that was supposed to be the humor at this point. It's like their pervy joke was they need a smoke after watching this.
Oh yeah, one of the women gets her
Crap.
top tripped off.
Yeah,
It
oh,
doesn't
oh, yeah.
It doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah, you get no booby action. Sorry, guys.
Which-
Seems so bad.
Classy.
Classic. But you know
So
what I mean though.
funny.
It's like it's a horror movie. It's
I
kind of
know.
part of the culture, and they even skip out on that part.
All right, so
They can't even get what should be the easiest part right.
so at this part, it's like
The, the cabin in the woods guys were not running this simulation.
No.
Oh,
Which-
how would you feel if
this is
Muckman
like-
was in Cabin
I'd
in the
be
Woods?
so mad.
Okay, and then after all this, like it's nighttime, they're out there filming stuff, and it gets creepy because it's the whole moonshine scene
Yes.
where they're like, one of the redneck Elmer or whatever his fucking name is, he puts the gun to someone's head pretty much and says, "You're gonna drink this fucking moonshine," and that was supposed to be a joke. I didn't
Well, you know,
understand it.
it's like an antidote thing where it's like it's a stupid old thing where it's like the moonshine's really shitty,
Uh-huh.
and so in order for anyone to drink it, they have to put a gun up to their head and threaten them to drink it.
That guy
'Cause-
never put the gun down even after they drank it.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's the story he's telling. Where like
okay.
the rednecks with the hitchhiker, and he gives him the moonshine. Like, "Do you want some?" He says, "No, I don't want any." And he holds the gun up to his head. It's like, "Take a drink." And so he takes a drink, and then he takes the jug back, and then he gives him the gun. He's like, "All right, now put the gun up to my head, so I can drink it."
That would have been funny.
Yeah,
Why
like
did
that.
they do that?
Yeah, they're like,
Oh, well, you know, Billy said the punchline.
yeah, Billy, because Billy
That's
is
why.
Oh, yeah.
one of the guys.
And Billy's the smart one there, you know?
And Billy doesn't even flinch with the moonshine.
No, because she's a...
Because they're actually
'cause
drinking a
she
jar of
didn't
water.
even sip
That's
it.
literally what I thought, too. They're drinking aqua. And then,
I'll be right
okay. So,
We're gonna
wanna take a
we're gonna
pause?
take a pause.
No, it's fine. Keep talking about it. I'm just going to get something to drink.
Okay, that's fine.
all right. Well, while he's going to get a drink, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
I'm seeing Jesse break down, and it's
No, I just died.
Oh, they hear a noise and discover a net that is ripped and torn into shreds while
This is
filming the scene of the Muckman.
what was her line? This is incontrovertible proof
Yes,
of the
that was-
Muckman. And I'm
that
like,
is
a
the
torn net. Oh, dear God. Like, again, that
I
was
was
another
like,
part that was supposed to be funny, but they're trying so hard that I hate it.
There was more evidence in the O.J. Simpson case.
If the net doesn't fit, you must quit.
Quit.
So I was about to say, Ron, that's only a joke for your generation.
That's actually very true. I have no memory of it.
That's what's great about this
fuck.
podcast.
I only
Shit.
know about it because of Naked Gun, whatever he was in.
All of them.
He was?
Yeah, he's in all of them. It's like a
He's
running
Dormer.
gag where he
The
gets
one where he, like, I don't know.
he gets
Okay.
shot in the beginning of all of them. He's in the hospital, so he's not even really in the movies.
Okay.
He's
That's
like, oh,
kind of a running
Dormer.
gag. Also, those movies are great, but it's really
Yes.
weird watching them with people who've never seen them before. Where it's like, yeah, that's O.J. Simpson. Just ignore
Can we
that.
talk
man.
about Naked Gun for the rest
Well,
of the podcast?
no, I was going to say Naked
Yeah.
Gun 33 and a
Yeah.
third, though, was filmed the exact same year that he committed the murders.
Sweet.
Isn't that awesome?
What?
That's fun, right? A little tidbit.
The Muckman. Help
Okay, so yeah, let's
That
go
was-
back to the
That was
Muckman.
the sole reason OJ. came
Oh,
to
and
his
then
crimes.
and
So
then
you
it's
watched
going,
Muckman?
it's going
That's
crazy.
why I killed that guy.
And then the Muckman, of course, shows up or whatever.
That's why I have
And
two of the
Elmer's arm gets ripped off by the Muckman, guys.
No, it doesn't.
Dun, dun, dun,
Why doesn't it?
blood
Because
squirts
it's a
around.
fake.
It's
all
a fake.
Scooby-Doo
Because
fucking
as soon as his
bullshit.
arm, before the arm even hits the ground, he's laughing on the ground, guys.
Audience. Hello. This is personal talk right now. On the cover of this fucking movie, it says, "See unspeakable violence and gore. It's a lie."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so gore only happens once in the movie, and it's fake in the movie. Like,
It's not even real.
And the gore's not even that good to begin with.
no,
They even
it's-
show you the jug of fake blood.
as they're literally playing with it later on
Yes.
in the movie.
Oh,
I was watching this with my roommate, and my roommate says it's funny how the fake blood looks like the real blood they use in the movie, and I was like, yeah, it's like $500.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
That's where it all went.
That's where it all went. They spent all
that
that
one
money
prosthetic.
on that one prosthetic.
and then of course we get the reveal that the Muckman was
the producer.
Oh, yeah.
what's his name?
Hobbs.
Hobbs.
Cletus Hobbs.
You were about to say
Hobbs.
Hobbs. weren't
I
you?
know.
Son of
What
a
a
bitch.
Hobbs.
The Muckman was dead.
Sorry, no troll hunter here.
Ooh, I
Don't
love-
you
I
besmirch
love
the name
to
of
hunt
Hobbs.
trolls.
God damn it.
Sometimes on my vacation, I like to go to Pennsylvania. to
I
dress up
hate
as
you
Muck.
so much. What did Hobbs ever do to you?
We want Hans in this movie. He might have saved it. He might have.
Oh,
Is that going to be like a running thing that you just like intentionally doing the wrong accent?
You but don't believe it.
It's a Pennsylvanian accent.
I'm Hans from Pennsylvania.
All right, fuck,
I
let's
like
keep
to
going.
go to-
I'm tired.
All right. They want to go look for Billy, and Asia wants them to stay. So she said she will go.
Because
and,
Asia's in on it too. I don't know if you ever
Yes.
brought that up.
yeah, Asia,
The
Asia
phone call earlier was
Yeah.
actually to cover up
with
because
Mickey
his phone
because
call.
Mickey is calling her pretty much to set it all up. He's kind of pulling the strings behind the curtains, and Asia, of course, is going along with it because it's going to revive her career as well as his.
Yeah.
So, okay, and then of course Billy is. We cut to Billy, and she's filming them actually bragging about the fake out. Like, so she filmed them
Because she
taking
doesn't
off the
believe it from the
mask.
beginning.
Yeah, so she's the smart one.
But she's the
Oh
smart
yeah,
one.
yeah, that's
You know?
smart. Believing that this was all fake. Truly, she is the Sherlock Holmes of our generation.
And then, of course, while Hobbs is walking back, and he changes out of the costume, he is attacked by what? The real
Thing.
Muckman.
What?
The real Muckman.
I was
There is
saying
actually a
Swamp
real
Thing.
Muckman,
Attacked
guys.
by
in
He's
the
the film.
Kataga.
incredibly unfazed by this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine. He gets off super easy. He gets like a scratch on his arm.
It could have been a branch would have done
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
This would have been the perfect time to actually kill
Oh,
Hobbs
but
off.
of course,
and make it
but
a-
of course, he doesn't die because of
He's part
the big
producer
twist.
or
No,
something. No, it's
because
just
of the big twist at the end.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Something happens.
And then of course Billy's doing all this investigation. So she goes back to the Fabulous Museum and pulls that hide off to see if it's really hide, and she finds out shag carpet.
And
Can we talk about how it's like, oh god, the mystery is unraveling, and it's like,
Yes,
oh yeah, it took
it's
you this
all-
long to figure out
Yeah,
that
it's
this
all
is fake.
unraveling all at once. And then of course she goes over to the skull, and guess what's on top of the skull?
Well, first off,
You could have seen that from where it was
Well, yeah,
sitting.
Exactly.
The fake teeth were like clay, and then
Yeah.
the skull itself was made in China.
Yep.
But okay, now the part that really phased me, that weirded me out, it was underneath the glass jar, but it obviously wasn't a glass jar. It was one of those plastic tubs that cheese balls come in, and then when she throws it on the ground, it makes a stock glass breaking sound effect. I don't know. That's just
And
one
then
thing.
We gotta
about,
cut corners where we can.
like,
man.
it-
This is
at-
$500.
So we were at the point of the movie where like I was just looking at stuff to be angry about because I felt so righteous in my anger.
So, and then of course, like while Billy's like uncovering all this stuff all at once, Hobbs shows up and he notices that she's recording all this stuff and pretty much outing them. So he immediately attacks her, and she tries to get away, and of course he fully on kicks her in the gut like 3 times.
Yeah, it was the part in the movie when I was like, I'm not laughing anymore. This is.
I was like, that's a
I think you mean he kicked her in the air 3 times before.
That is true.
Yeah. Although I do get what he's saying though, how like this part of the movie is weirdly. It's obviously fake. It's not
more,
well done, but it's
more theoretically violent than the rest,
of the movie. So it feels really tonally out of place.
Yeah. It feels really out of tone when it's like, oh god.
We went from Scooby Doo to Deliverance very quickly.
Yeah.
God, I would rather watch Deliverance.
Of course you would.
I fucking love that movie. Anyway.
So he
Movie
takes.
about my people.
Doesn't he take her to like the house at this point?
Yeah, he Hobbs takes Billy to his house.
His really nice house.
His really, really nice record
He's
playing,
he's
wine
sipping
drinking.
wine.
Like this was some master Bond plan the entire time.
But he's still the same guy.
To be honest, this is one of my favorite scenes because of Hobbs alone. Because like Asia pops up.
Yep. And
Mickey O'Hara, and like, you know, Hobbs is like, yeah, it was a good thing we were pulling on that whole Muckman trick. But the thing is, I just saw him. He's real.
Oh, God.
And then it took like Mickey 5 seconds to believe him.
He didn't. He believes it right away. He's like, "What? The real Muckman?"
Yeah, and then like Mickey goes, "Wait, you are serious?" And Cletus Hobbs says like my favorite line, because the thing is, it's almost like he actually did mean to say this line with emotion. Like he just looked and said, "What do you think I've been trying to tell you?"
I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then
they decided to kill him.
oh, and then they were like, what should we do with her? And of course, I think Mickey and Hobbs at this time were
They tried to like cut her.
like try to cut her in, and then of course
Asia's like, no,
Asia's like, no, she's kind of one of those do-gooders, and
She
so,
never showed any sign in like the movie.
Yeah,
that
and she was just like literally sitting there the whole time.
I have a stupid question. Up to the point where they kidnapped her and beat the shit out of her, had they technically done anything illegal?
No.
Like, is
No.
dressing up as a monster and running around bad?
No.
So they went from that
Yeah,
to
that's
murder.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Well, see, but Asia was the one's like, we gotta kill him, and of course she didn't want to do the dirty work.
No,
so-
that is something I did actually like. I kind of got a little bit of.
I was gonna
giggle
say,
out
in
of
a
me.
better movie, that would have made me chuckle.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was kind of wasted in this movie, but the whole like, I don't want to kill her though. It's really hard. Like they're not.
They
They're
draw
not.
for it.
They
No,
draw,
yeah,
they
they
draw
draw
straws. Well,
But like they're not.
toothpicks.
They're not. They're not being like they're not like having like a moral dilemma over it. It's literally just like it's hard though. I don't want to kill her.
So at this time, the short stick, of course, goes to Hobbs. So he has to get rid of Billy.
And
By the
again,
way, all of our other characters just like disappear for 30 minutes of this movie,
yeah,
and it
at
doesn't
this
matter
point
at
they
all.
literally don't. They're literally
care.
tied up in a house.
Yep. No, that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet.
Well, except for
They're just doing nothing.
Yeah.
then.
I want to
so
bring
we're-
up this one problem. Okay, so the
One
cousins,
problem.
Okay, one problem out of many problems, but fuck off, Jesse.
Oh yeah, they're also not in the movie anymore because they got hammered on moonshine.
And they're
just
still to
sleeping
this
on the
day
wall.
drunk. Remember?
That was another joke that in a better movie would have made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, that was the worst, where are they now end credit scene I've
That's
ever
what
seen.
I took all the pictures too. so we know where they're all at the end.
Why did you care that much?
I
I'm
like
kidding.
to be thorough
I'm
on our
kidding.
podcast. There's going to be movies that I like and you don't like, and I'm going to be like, I still want to do this.
And that's fine, but this is Muckman.
I know. We are very divided.
Like, I
on
will
this.
always be down for movies you pick, probably.
All right, suspicious cuts. More suspicious cuts. So welcome back. We are going to resume our discussion here. I think we were just talking. We were just getting to when Hobbs took what's her name,
Billy.
tomboy lady.
They have a
to
very
the bridge.
casual conversation.
Yeah,
as they
it's
walk
like
across
it's the most candid thing ever. Where it's like, man, do you really gotta kill you? I gotta kill you though.
I don't really want to.
You know what the thing is? Hobbs is like dressed up differently and like
Yeah, he's
Black
wearing like
jacket.
nice clothes.
it's making me think of like the worst episode of the 1980s Incredible Hulk show I've ever seen. What?
That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's a good show, but I think
Okay, audience, we'll cut back after Rod beats the shit out of Lee.
yeah,
Trash
have fun, man.
Okay, so he's about to throw Billy over the thing, and
He
he's
doesn't
like,
look like he even touches her. He's like,
he goes. Billy, of course, says, "I can't swim much," which, of course, there's a little more foreshadowing of like maybe she's going to die this way. So he decides to throw her over, and of course, once he,
all 2 feet.
yeah, exactly, shallow river.
I love it. It's literally pushed.
Yeah. No splash. And then, of course, you look across the bridge, and guess who Mr. Hobbs sees?
Nick
Swamp
Cage.
Thing.
Nick Cage. No.
I like
Hi
his answer
guys,
better.
I'm Nick Cage.
Muckman.
Here with my buddy Hans. I can't do the Hans thing.
Oh,
The
shit.
Muck-
No,
the
we
Muckman.
see Muckman.
He sees
the
the
real
Muckman.
Muckman, not the costume
He
Muckman.
takes Billy out of
the
the water.
realist Muckman.
The realest Muckman you can ever imagine.
The OG Muckman. No Vaseline.
No, that's-
So he goes and, he rescues Billy.
This is a very classic send up to the trope of the beast and the beauty.
Yeah.
and then this. Okay, all right.
Wow, look
Highbrow.
at there.
I
So-
will take my
Dude,
So-
can I give this another star?
Yes.
No, I'm just joking.
I know I've said this a lot, but this is another reason. Okay, so at this point, I had no hopes for this movie. But then, as soon as I saw that the Swamp Man was such a gentle creature and gently lifted her up, this was like another. Oh fuck! I got it wrong.
That was good.
It was another nail in the coffin, and something else in me got angry. I found more anger I didn't know I had because I knew it was coming.
Yep.
Anyway,
And we forgot. We forgot. As soon as Hobbs did see the Muck Monster. That's the
Oh, yeah.
answer. He runs away, and the idiot knocks himself out.
It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
he
he
knocks himself out.
Yeah. And then he passes out from fear, I guess. I don't know. It's
And then
really
he wakes
awkward.
up with no real consequences
Yeah.
and runs away.
Yeah.
Back to the.
He's like, oh, it's the Muckman.
It's like, oh yeah. The Muck Man probably took her away and ripped her to shreds, because he's a beast.
And then she's all, "Hey guys, what up?"
Yeah. She wakes up in the in like the beaver dam that he lives
With the
in.
Muckman being all tender.
And
Okay,
then
my
she
butt, yeah.
gets ready to pull the
And then of course,
pulls out the video camera
Yeah.
and Muckman
like,
goes back under the water. He's like, oh, but you don't want to be filmed because you just want to be left alone.
Okay, now that you're
yeah.
saying
So
it, it's
see-
making me find hate that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
So of course we go back and we see the crew, the original crew, packing up their stuff out of the
Yeah,
the
they're
cabin.
just getting ready to
And
bug
then
out.
the
And-
Asia and Mickey show up and it's like, "Oh my god, it was terrible. She's dead."
they're like,
And then she walks in the door. It's like, "Hey."
Oh,
And she walks in the door
She walks
holding
in.
the mask.
The Muckman's mask, and
The
they're like,
fake
"Oh my
Muckman
god,
mask.
Billy's alive.
Billy's
God,
alive!"
so much.
Kill every
And then,
single
of course,
person.
that's when the whole thing foils because, of course, they just said Billy's dead and here's Billy alive and
How
Billy's.
did they beat them? There's like 4 of them. How did they get tied?
Exactly. Oh, no, because they had a gun.
Yeah.
Asia had the
Asia has a
gun.
gun.
Asia got a gun.
A gold-plated one too.
Yeah.
Asia pulls
Well,
out
it was a
the
cigarette
only-
lighter one, probably. Damn it. Didn't think about that till now.
Asia pulls out the only gun that the movie could buy.
And they tie them up in what is clearly something they could get out of in like a little
Well, they even
second.
made a reference
You
to that.
remember the camera guys, right?
I do.
I don't
they
even
literally
think they
just
would.
get up and go boop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even think they would get out.
God, I fucking hate this movie.
And of course, they get outside, Asia and Mickey and Hobbs, and they're like, "Let's light this, or let's burn this
She
place down
pistol
before they."
whips Hobbs.
Yeah.
No,
oh yeah.
no, doesn't touch him though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Full
I
on
watched this.
air whips.
I watched this scene like 5 times last night, laughing my butt off.
And he
just
filmed it
seeing
like
this.
6 more.
Yeah, I filmed it 6 more.
Why
You
couldn't
recorded
you just
it.
watch Black Dynamite and be happy with
Exactly.
those fake hits?
I love Black Dynamite. When are we gonna do When are we gonna do a podcast about Black Dynamite?
Right now, let's
I know.
ban
right
this.
now.
I know that none of us are allowed to talk about Black Dynamite.
Oh, that's
but we
a good
should.
point.
We
So
should do
instead
much
of
more
gas-
Black
They don't know that.
Dynamite. They don't know
Instead
that.
of
You're right.
gas, because the budget wouldn't allow them to have gas, they were dousing the cabin with water.
Yes.
So
And then before they could set it on fire, holy shit, the Muckman.
the Muckman shows up
The
to the
Muckman
rescue.
cometh.
Because the Muckman hates arson.
Yes, he's like fire bad.
He's
He
okay
really
with
is
murder,
Swamp
but
Thing.
Yeah.
So then they run to the truck.
Your face.
I was looking,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
looking at
They
it.
run to the truck, get
Oh,
it, but
nope.
then what the fuck?
We forgot this. It's about Muckman.
What the
Uh-huh.
Asia fires 5 shots into Muckman, and guess
No,
what? He's
she
invincible.
She misses.
It's
She's-
okay. She shoots
swinging.
bullets or blanks. I'm thinking they're blanks, but you know.
All right, and
But-
then they get to the truck, and then Muckman's
Yeah.
all like, "Boom, boom, boom, boom," and then they get out of the truck, and then
And
it
then
pushes
Muckman
the truck
fucking flips
in the
that
one
shit.
moment of effects this movie has.
Yeah,
and pushes
but-
the truck into the river.
And it's like
But
that
remember,
weird. It's
like-
not rear projection. What is it?
it looked like I don't know.
Proclamation.
It looked like no.
It
not-
looked
not
like
that
it
one.
looked like the micro machine.
No,
car.
yeah, no.
They
They
blew
were
it up.
projecting, or they edited in Muckman to like a miniature. So
Yeah,
that's
and
what it was.
but the thing was, when they were in the truck before, they got out of the truck because
So they're
Muckman-
fine.
We
'Cause
saw
why wouldn't they
the
be?
little tentacle.
That happens
creature.
when they're in the RV.
Oh, it was the RV, right?
So then
yeah.
they run to the RV,
RV.
and start
Fucking
driving
RV.
away. Billy tries to
That's
be the
right.
action hero and be like, "I'm gonna stop you," and then she utterly fails.
Yeah, dude, Billy was like outrunning the RV.
Our
for a second.
heroes
I
do
was-
literally nothing.
Yes. So of course, that's when out of the river, not the swamp, but the river, the big tentacle.
They got in the RV.
Well, that's
Oh,
what
did
we
you
were
already
talking
talk
Yeah, I
about.
said that.
Oh,
and,
fuck.
then, and then the little green
It's okay.
thing.
You fell asleep there.
I did.
The little green thing that came from
Yeah.
the egg is crawling up her leg, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's awful!" And then,
And then we
the
find
thing
the
crawls
mommy.
up.
Yeah, we find the mommy.
And this is the only. I have a saying about movies that every movie has something worth seeing in it, and a stop motion giant swamp tentacle
and it's
monster.
A
terrible.
great. No, it's
I was
great.
okay with
actually.
No,
Yes.
it I
It
think the,
didn't look
the
real, but I
that's what I'm
love
saying,
stop
no.
motion.
Yeah,
I do
like,
love stop
I
motion.
love
Don't
that.
get me wrong about
Yeah, I
that.
love
But what I'm
stop.
saying is, the creature could have looked better. Like hell, the
Oh,
little-
I think he means the design.
yeah, the
I needed something to cling on to.
yeah.
Well, that green tentacle creature looked a lot better than the big.
I'm reaching
adult.
here. I
I
have
know.
to find something.
Yeah.
We're not gonna find nothing.
I know.
This movie.
For like a,
big
a
nothing.
solid
you
half
used
a
the
second,
double
I had a
negative.
smile.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You used a double negative, which means
No,
you guys have found something.
Yes,
I do.
you
I
found
do.
it.
I do agree with Jesse. That stop motion was a nice surprise. I wasn't.
I wasn't expecting that at
Yeah,
all.
it's a surprise,
That took
but it
all
wasn't
their
much more
budget,
than
though.
that.
And so it tears up the RV and lets them get away.
Because all it wants is the baby. Because guess what, Leon? Guess what, Jesse?
What?
Guess what? Guess what? True monsters, man.
I hate to. What I wanted to happen was to have like a Lost World moment where they pick him
He
up
picks
and,
up like a
pick
little
it
action
apart.
figure
Yeah.
that's like obviously plastic fingers popped up. That would have been great.
It would have been.
But no,
Of
they're
course.
fine. They get away. They
And
still
then you
run
can imagine
away.
like the kicking legs and like.
So, like they said, they get away, and of course, we find out that Billy pretty much has her own show now
Yeah.
because she,
Everyone escaped.
Everyone
yeah,
escapes.
every
And
no
then
one dies, zero.
There's no
die. There's not even a
consequences.
scratch really in this movie.
You do get that other Beauty and the Beast shit when
Yeah.
like they're standing there, and she's like, the film
Yeah.
crew's never seen Muckman. It's like, but wait, Muckman
Never
was
exi-
Muckman real? And then
And
she
goes,
looks
of
over.
course not.
Well, she
Nah,
looks over in the woods, and she sees Muckman standing in the clearing, all sad. He goes, "Of course he's not real.
You know, like to protect him.
Protect the Muckman."
And then, of course, we get the ending.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Okay,
it was
so we can see-
so
Of
fun.
course, we can't see anyone die. So
A
it
trope.
says Hoax Busters, which is now Billy's new show.
Billy's new show, which is basically the anti-whatever it was.
it
show
says
at
it
the
becomes
beginning.
like one of the biggest
It's
shows.
an
Yes.
international
she,
hit.
It straight up says she becomes a bigger celebrity than Oprah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
bigger personality than Oprah. And it says Drew Barrymore is set to play her in an upcoming movie. With Adam Sandler. Sorry, guys. No, I'm just joking. Hey, guys! Then we found out Asia, the one who plotted murder, should be in prison. She's offers her reporting talents for lonely men who call in on her sex phone hotline. So, of course, she should be in prison, but no. We get...
Everyone's okay.
Oh, and then, of course, Hobbs is her best customer.
No, of course, that was the one that bummed me out, because you see him talking on the phone, sure, but he's got, like, a bunch of, like, swamp man, like, costume stuff around him. I wanted it to say something like, Hobbs found work as a special effects wizard. Like, they couldn't all be negative, but they all kind of were, and that was really disappointing.
And then one of the camera guys, the guy who was burning stuff, the food, Curly, he is a photographer for some better nudie magazines.
For some of the higher class nudie magazines.
Yeah. And then, of course, Pauline, the girl that we barely ever
That
talk about,
literally
She
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
is his favorite model. And then we have Drew Simmons, who has the best job in the world. He's doing voices for Japanese anime.
Bad Japanese.
Bad. Oh, I guess it is bad. Oh, badly made. Yeah, you're right.
Kind of like Sword
And
Art
then
Online.
we find
Just
out
like
that
Sword Art Online.
Fuck off.
Then we
Sword
found
Art
And
out that
Naruto.
Mickey,
Hey, you take that back.
I'm not taking that
No,
back.
no, I'll take it back.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Mickey O'Hara's current whereabouts are unknown.
And then you
As
just see
he's
him
washing
washing
the
a car.
car.
Yeah, and then of course we got Horst and Elmer, and they're still inebriated.
See, and again, that's another problem. That's another joke that should have landed, but
Uh-huh.
didn't,
It
because
just-
it's a shit
yeah.
movie for
Yeah.
shit.
And
so-
then this shit fest finally
And then
ended.
it ended, and then I celebrated because I
Yay!
fucking made it through it.
And then I drove here to talk about
I'm
it.
so proud of you guys.
So,
All right, so what comes
Final
next?
thought.
Usually, this is where we have the sort of thing where it's like, oh, we talk about the themes,
You know-
or we discuss what we liked, or the things that stuck with us, and fuck all of that.
okay, I'll tell you this much: the real Muckman's costume was better than the fake Muckman's costume.
Yeah.
There, I gave one positive. The rest is
Huzzah.
negative.
I'm so
Baptist Day.
You know, I gotta say,
I'll thunder whacking all over this movie.
I feel like
Yep.
I feel like
You do.
William Dafoe's Green Goblin with
Oh,
like
Willem.
everyone here being Spider-Man, cause I gotta tear you from your heart.
Oh my god!
So I hated this movie. I honestly can't think of a single positive thing to say. It's another case of every time something that would be positive came up, I'd get angry that the rest of the movie wasn't that, you know? It had my least favorite moral that any horror movie could have. Man is the true monster. And I get it. Man sucks, but also
Muckman sucked
Muckman
too.
sucked too.
Oh, please don't say two, because that might make a
That might-
sequel.
Muckman
yeah,
2
we're gonna start.
Quickening.
See, we're gonna start the Muckman like fervor again, and then it's gonna come back, and it's
I
gonna be
might
all
pay
our
him
fault.
$500 and not make part two.
Yeah,
Muckman 3, Muckman Takes Manhattan.
Muckman
Oh,
takes
shit.
the head. Anyway, I guess that's really all I have to say because I really have nothing. It's a dull movie. It's the humor doesn't land. The monster designs aren't interesting. I got nothing
It's a
good to
bad
say.
Okay.
comedy, and nothing is worse than a bad comedy.
Yeah, that too.
See, and I do want to bring this up, and maybe some of our listeners out there will see this too. I literally was finding one good thing about this movie was the fact that, like, the character Billy, I thought it was played by a different actress. So the whole movie, I'm thinking, but this is Joe from Supernatural. And of course, I find out it's not Joe at all.
So you're saying your one
I thought-
positive was a
yeah,
lie?
Yeah, and I thought, yeah, the one lie, and then also I thought, I was like, but why is she acting so bad? She's a better actress. No, that's her talent. Okay, so I think right now let's do final thoughts
I
and
think
give
we just
our
did
reviews.
our
We
final
did.
thoughts.
We'll
I
give our
get-
reviews. Go ahead, final thought review.
This movie doesn't even fall in the realm of so bad to be good. I have to give it like a 3. It's that horrible quagmire of just mediocrity and unpleasurableness, I guess. I don't even know what to say about it. It's don't watch Muckman. Jesse?
Same. I gave it a 2. Like, give me a bunch. Give me all of the ones. Ones are fun.
Ones are great.
Ones are a good
Ones are
time.
masterpieces.
2s are where nothing about the production is good in any way, shape, or form. The only nice thing I had to say about this was the stop motion was kind of fun, and that's mostly because I wasn't expecting it. The acting is bad, the framing is bad, no shot looks pretty, the sound mixing is awful. It's like everything that you can possibly do wrong, you do. And I hate to be that technical sort of person that comes in and being like, oh, well, it wasn't up to my standards, but fuck it.
It wasn't up to anyone's standards.
Nope. It wasn't like Sydney said, it wasn't even fun bad because most of it was trying to be funny and it wasn't. So it's not even funny bad.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, go with him.
Okay.
It's yours.
Well, I actually think I might just give it a 0 out of 10.
No. You can't do. See,
Yeah.
There's
this is
no
your
such
movie,
thing.
and you
There's no
love
such
it.
thing.
You got at least.
I think what he means a 1 because a 0 out of 10, like a 0 out of 10 is a movie that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I've never seen a 0.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Movies I despise more than life itself.
Yeah,
aren't
no,
zeros.
this is going into the Phantom Zone.
the Phantom Zone.
Along with Zod.
So you will
yes.
never watch this movie again?
Probably not. No, but
But it's
you know,
gonna
Why
so-
were you smiling?
but it's gonna
though?
sit on
because
his shelf
I had
forever.
a fun time, Jesse. And when you have a fun time watching a movie, you're like, wow.
Okay, so then go
that's
back to
cool.
your rating. Go back to your rating because if you had a fun time, it's not a 0.
Fine.
It's like
Gosh.
a 1. It's like the 1 that breaks the scale and flips back around. It's how I feel about Samurai Cop.
It's
Epidemic.
I'll just give it a 1 out of 10 because Ron's a picky bitch about it.
Right. And now would be Ron's turn.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like
Sorry.
the movie's like it has a $500 budget.
I'm glad you did this,
And-
Liam.
I'm
It
glad.
made it,
I'm
I,
happy.
because I
You
want.
gave
after,
us the one interesting episode.
after Raw. I really wanted an episode where I could be like Sydney and be filled with hate.
It's addicting, isn't
It
it?
is. It's intoxicating.
for this, don't you?
Ron's turn.
We
Okay.
have such sights to show you.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes.
I know.
Okay, with this movie, I wanted to like it a lot just for the simple fact is I try to find something good out of every horror movie I watch. This one, of course, was very hard. It was, and to be all honest, like if more people died in it and stuff, I probably would
If
give it a
anyone died?
yeah. If anyone
If it
died,
had cheesy death scenes,
Yeah.
that would have gone like 2 points up
Yeah,
for me.
it would have made the movie.
And so, for this being called a horror movie, I think it's just kind of a slap in the face for horror fans. And so,
Oh, I don't know. We've been doing
Yeah.
this.
yeah, oh man, and I have seen worse movies that
What do
I'd
you
probably
mean?
give this. Oh, I've seen worse.
There's
movies than this.
infinite.
Bro.
There's this,
Oh, yeah.
this barrel we keep scraping the bottom
Yeah.
of has infinite bottom.
I have
Um,
seen things that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, like how did this even get made?
Cenobites over here, come on.
But
All right.
but my rating for this, I would probably give it. I think I settled for 4 out of 10, and the only reason I gave it a 4 out of 10 was, even though it was hard to watch and get through, I got through it. Like there's movies out there where it's like I can't get, like I literally would have to watch like 15 minutes here, put it down next day, maybe 2 days later, pick it up for another 15 minutes. Like I've seen movies like that. For this one, I actually got through it. I understood the plot. I understood what they were trying to go for. It just fell short, a lot short. Yeah, don't watch this movie, guys, unless you really just want to have a terrible time.
Yeah,
I liked it
see-
more than the movie I almost walked out of.
Oh yeah, what was the
See,
movie?
there you
I
are.
almost
Fred
walked-
Force stick.
See, exactly. See,
Fred Forrest.
All right. All right. That movie sucks. But what's his name? Michael. What the black guy who
B.
played?
Jordan.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. Is that right?
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. No. Let's say he was the best part of the movie, and you guess what? He managed to get resurrected by Marvel.
He sure did. Thank
Doc-
you.
That's great.
Doctor-
Much like Chris Evans in the first one.
Doctor Doom.
There is no victor, only doom.
Yeah, doom.
I was about to throw something.
And then he's just like, man, people's heads blow. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude? Okay.
With his giant blue portal.
Not only is he the best
And
villain,
anyone who
he's
thinks
the
that
best
movie's
rapper.
Amazing.
He's the best villain, and he's
If
the best
anyone
rapper.
thinks that
so...
movie's great, then yes, you will like Muckman.
Yeah, you will love
Muckman.
We went off on a weird tangent.
Anyway.
It's my turn.
Okay, yeah, it's
Yes,
your turn.
no, hold on.
Oh, wait, oh, shit.
This would be the section of the podcast where we have our emails. So if you have any questions or comments, or maybe even want to make a suggestion for a movie we'll watch, we'll send in all of those comments to mikeintheasylum@gmail.com. That's mikeintheasylum@gmail.com. So this next week's movie is going to...
Okay. Okay, so my pick, because of the season that we're in right now, Trick or Treat.
Yay!
2007 Trick or Treat.
I'm so excited.
If you
Best
guys
werewolves.
haven't seen this,
Best,
you guys are
one of the
missing
best.
out.
It's the closest thing Halloween ever has had to like what Christmas has to Christmas movies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
because like
Yes.
it bleeds Halloween.
because
It's
like
wonderful.
Halloween is called Halloween, but it's just a slasher movie in the
Yeah.
end. This is the one that's like the Halloween
There's
spirit.
pumpkins
and-
everywhere. Everyone's dressed up.
Yes.
Everything is orange and dark and spooky music. And it's
Like, honestly,
Don't
this
forget
movie,
the eyes.
I
Oh, I
honestly,
fucking love that bit. Anyway,
this movie, yeah, it's like happiness to me. Like when I see everything,
like it's a super
it's like-
gory, it's super brutal, but at the same time, it fills
Visually,
you with the
it's great.
same
Yeah,
joy
it
that
feels
watching
visually-
Rudolph
Yeah.
does.
like I mean, it's just visually great. And Halloween's my favorite time.
Plus,
of year.
Sam is a super underrated character.
I wish he had become like one of the big titans
Yes.
of horror,
Mhm.
like
and
Freddy or Jason.
and then yes and no, because like I love Sam so much, I kind of want to keep him.
You wanna keep
like,
to yourself.
yourself, yeah.
My little
That is
pumpkin
true.
bud.
I'm a little
He's
jealous.
my horror icon.
Yes, because because that is the truth. Like people gravitate towards Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, something big, and then like I'm like I love Sam.
Well,
Who do I gravitate to?
Sam's one of those
Freddy's my
examples
top
of
favorite,
horror
too.
icons
Jason's
who
fine.
are loved widely
I
but
do have a
loved
small
deeply.
spot for Leatherface.
boy.
Yep.
No, I'm just joking. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, we
All right.
probably shouldn't talk so much about
Okay.
the movie.